Hey everyone, it's Alyssa Chen with the Education Justice Coalition. I just wanted to spend a few minutes here giving some important updates about our COVID recovery campaign as we near the end of the school year. First of all, just want to point out this link here that we updated our COVID recovery toolkit last month, and so you can check out those updates here for additional information. So the objectives of this presentation is to share some important updates about COVID recovery money, also called ESSER funds 1, 2, and 3, including some dates and logistics. I also want to share some tools to hold your district accountable to funding equity and inclusion with this money. And I also want to clarify what supports the EDGE Coalition can provide you in this moment. So here's our agenda. What's with this money? I'm going to share an updated timeline. I'll show you how to read a sample plan and where to find your district's plan. I'll share some important questions you can ask your district at this moment in time. I'll also share what meaningful stakeholder engagement means, and a couple tips about how to get organized and how we can help. So what's with this money? There are 3 pots of money coming into Vermont schools: ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ARP ESSER 3, for a total of $398 million. ESSER 1 and 2 have mostly been spent allocated, so we're focusing on ESSER 3. ESSER 3 also requires the greatest level of community input, which means we should have ability to share our voice and have an impact on how this money is being spent. States receive ESSER funds based on their amount of Title I funding, also known as how many low-income students are in their district. And you can check out that amount here. I'll share this PowerPoint in the YouTube video description. A little bit more about this money is that for the ARP ESSER 3, a portion of the money, 20%, must be spent on specific programs to make up for learning loss experienced during COVID. The rest of the 80% of money can be used for programs and services that address academic, social, emotional, and mental health needs of all students, with a specific focus on the needs of historically marginalized students. Here's an updated timeline for the ESSER 3 funding. Back in May 24, 2021, districts received 2/3 of the funding. They had to consult with a defined list of stakeholders, and this is an ongoing process. If a district plans to make major changes, they should reconnect with these stakeholders. And these stakeholders should be from specific marginalized communities, including ELL student populations, low income, students of color, LGBTQI+ students, students with disability, and their parents and advocates. There should be a public comment process, which is ongoing, especially if the district plans to make major changes. The plans should have been posted on the website at the end of March 29th. And that's the same date that districts submit their plans to the state. And please be aware that these plans are not final, because plans may receive stakeholder input and feedback all the way through early summer 2024. Districts submit budget for ARP ESSER funds in November 2020, and that's to be confirmed. And then these funds must be spent or committed by September 2024. So as you can see, the plans are already out there, but we still have an opportunity to review the plans and have an impact and have our voices heard. So here's a sample plan. This is a plan from Essex Westford School District, just an example. And this is the format that you may see most of the plans in. This is a bit about how they're planning to spend their ARP ESSER 3 money. So in the left-hand column, you'll see the strategy. That's kind of what they're planning on spending the money on. So for example, Essex says they want to do additional staffing and contracted services for mental health, social emotional learning, and restorative practices. And they also want to spend it for additional leadership for Essex High School, pre-K, English language learners, and extended learning. Then you can look at the education recovery pillar, which just says what category that spending is helping. And then there are specific questions which are good to look at around how will this strategy support specific underserved groups, which I kind of mentioned before, that this money has to be focused on underserved groups. And then the last column is exactly how much money is being spent. So if you want to find your district's plan and be able to understand and analyze it, you should be able to do a quick Google search of just ARP ESSER funds plus name of your school district. And definitely reach out to me. I have my email at the end and in the comments if you're having trouble finding yours. And all the plans should have been posted by March 29th. These are some really great questions to ask your district from the Ed Trust, just to ensure that the plans are serving the students they're supposed to be serving in the way we want them to be served, and to ensure that the plans have gotten broad community engagement. So the first question is, how is the district meaningfully engaging a diverse and representative set of stakeholders, including students, families, educators, and the broader community in developing a plan to use these funds and implementing that plan? 2, what data will the district use to identify student needs, including needs that were unmet prior to the pandemic, and monitor how students are progressing? 3, how will the district ensure funding is targeting to students who need it the most? 4, how will the district target additional resources, including federal stimulus funding, to create safe and equitable learning environments and provide whole child supports, particularly for vulnerable and systemically neglected students? 5, how will the district implement evidence-based strategies to address unfinished instruction, accelerate learning, and respond to students' academic, social, and emotional needs? And if you click on that link up top here, you'll find some more details from Ed Trust about these questions. Just in terms of what is meaningful stakeholder engagement and did your district do it, it's more than a Google survey. So consultation with educators and school staff at all levels, including parents, caregivers, civil rights organizations, and when relevant, stakeholders representing the interests of children with disabilities, English learners, children experiencing homelessness, children in foster care, migratory students, children who are incarcerated, and other underserved students. And this language is taken directly from kind of the federal recommendations of who needs to give input. Also, all meaningful stakeholder engagement should be inclusive, clear, effective, and ongoing in order to best support educational equity and excellence. And here's some resources to kind of look into engagement and to be able to push your district. So how to get organized to make change. You can connect with others locally and check out our toolkit. There's a whole section on how to get organized and a sample letter you can send to your superintendent. You can definitely also reach out to me. My email is alyssa.edjvt@gmail.com. And I'm happy to help you analyze your plan. I'm happy to meet up with you one-on-one or in your small group to chat about organizing. That's all I have for you today. Feel free to reach out and be in touch. Again, this is kind of timely work as this funding moves into schools. We want to make sure it's impacting the students who need it most. So thank you so much for your work.